Hello, fantasy players. Welcome back to Engage 8 Fantasy. Justin Stevens, and I'm here again with our special guest, Kenny Vickers. Again, I appreciate you coming on, Kenny. We are gonna, we're gonna finish our trilogy of videos here that we started last week, and so last week we went over the AFC and NFC predictions. Today we're going to be discussing our playoff predictions along with our awards predictions, just different awards that we think are going to be handed out at the end of the season. And then if we have time at the end, we're going to get into some bold predictions that we have. So Kenny, anything new with you since we last spoke last week?
Not too much, really. I know we need to get through this show today, though, because I got Kendra out there shopping online, so I got to get out there and make sure she don't spend too much time.
Oh, no. Right on. Sounds good. And, of course, I'm recording outside, and as soon as I hit to record, some dude is driving down the street in a lawnmower. So I hope y'all don't hear that too much, but hopefully he just keeps going. But anyway, you guys can reach us at Engage8 Fantasy on Twitter. We do check the Twitter regularly, and we do get back with you. We also retweet if you ask us to retweet. If you have like a poll for a trade option or anything like that, or just any general questions, we'll get back with you. Also, you can email us, engage8fantasy@gmail.com. And again, right there is my Twitter handle, @JustinFF_. I'm on there all the time. I'm always answering personal questions about your teams. All right, so Kenny, let's just jump right into it. We're going to give a quick recap of our previous two shows. Just kind of go over divisional winners. If you want to go ahead and read off your AFC divisional winners and maybe your 3 wild card teams as well.
Okay. Well, I've got the Ravens winning they're winning the AFC North at 13-3. I've got the Chiefs winning, and Ravens are the first seed. I've got the Chiefs as the second seed, winning the AFC West at 12-4. I've got the Colts winning the AFC South at 11-5. They're the third seed. The Bills is the fourth seed, and they win they're the AFC East at 11-5 as well. And then my 3 wild cards now are Pittsburgh at 11-5 gets in as a 5th seed. The Tennessee Titans get in as the 6th seed, and the Raiders in that playoff drought, and they get in as the 7th.
Yeah, I'm loving this idea about the 7th team in the playoffs as well. It's also going to open up a lot of NFL playoff fantasy football for those of us that continue to play into the playoffs. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. We're pretty similar on that end, except our number 7 seeds. Our seeds are different, but we have all the same teams in there, with the exception of you have the Raiders, where I have the Dolphins actually squeaking in. I think they find a way to make it happen.
You're high on Tua.
No, actually, I don't. I'm not completely positive that Tua's going to take over for old Fitz. I think they start off getting some wins early, and they just roll with the old man Fitz. So, but we'll see. Okay. And if not, then yes, I am still high on Tua as well, especially for his career. I think he's probably the most NFL-ready quarterback in the bunch this year. So, but yeah, I've got Kansas City as the number 1 seed. And the Baltimore is number 2, and the Titans winning their division is the number 3 seed, and number 4 seed Buffalo winning the AFC East. Then I have got to shut off my phone so you guys don't get those beeps. Let me take care of that right now. My son called me, and my other son texted me, all within a minute. All right. So the 5 seed I've got Pittsburgh. 6 seed is Indianapolis, and then of course the 7 seed is Miami, squeaking in there at 7-9, which is one downside to having 7 teams in the playoffs, because we already have seen in the past where the winner of the weak division is maybe under 500 and they still get in as the number 4 seed. I think you might be able to occasionally see a wild card team squeak in now under 500 as well. And I think that's kind of bad for football, but in a way it gives you an underdog to root for. But then also, so the NFC, I'll kick us off there. In the NFC, I've got the Saints as my number 1 seed. San Francisco as the 2 seed. The 3 would be Minnesota, and the 4 would be Dallas. So those are the 4 division winners. And then I have Green Bay as the 5 seed, Seattle as the 6, and Tampa Bay barely over 500 and as that 7 seed. How about you?
I said it before. I got the Cowboys as the 1st seed, 13-3. I've got the Saints as the 2 at 12-4. I've got the Packers as the 3 at 12-4. The Seahawks as the 4 at 12-4. I've got the Bucks as the 5 at 11-5. The Vikings as the 6 at 11-5, and the Niners at 10-6 as the 7.
So we have all the same teams in the NFC. You know, there was a much different seeding, but only one team different in the entire thing. So that's cause it's going to make it hard for our little tiebreaker at the end of the season when this is all said and done, and I go back and watch this video. I'm only going to tell you what the results are if I won.
I got you.
So today, like I said, we're going to go over our playoff predictions. Kind of exciting stuff because, you know, we don't even know exactly how the season's even going to go. This 2020 season predictions may spill over into 2021, and then we'll just tweak it a little bit. Talk about that later. But for now, assuming the season takes off, for the AFC, like I said, I have Kansas City as the number 1 seed, so I have them as the only team with the bye. And I have the 2 seed Baltimore beating the 7 seed Miami. The 5 seed wild card Pittsburgh Steelers with the upset over the number 4 seed Buffalo. And then the number 3 seed Tennessee Titans beating my number 6 seed Indianapolis Colts. So I only have one upset there in the wild card round, and that's Pittsburgh over Buffalo. I really do believe that Big Ben has one more good year left in him to make this little playoff run.
Okay. I like it. It's not a lot different than what I've got. I've got the Steelers beating the Bills in round 1. Again, I just think Pittsburgh's overall a better football team. I've got the Colts beating the Titans. And then I've got the Chiefs handling the Raiders pretty easily in the first round of the playoffs.
Okay, so we both had our 2nd seed handling the 7 seed with no problem. You have the Colts as the 3 seed, though, right?
Yes, I do.
And the Titans as the 6. So there's our big difference is that we just have those 2 teams swapped around, and I think I feel a little bit more strongly about the Titans, and you feel a little bit more strongly about the Colts. And then we both had Pittsburgh over Buffalo. All right.
Yep. And then I think I've got my little bracket here. It says right there. I printed it off today.
Oh, look at that.
But I do, however, think
professional. Look at mine.
I printed it off right before I left work, but it's.
Were you wearing a bow tie and a little pocket protector?
Not at all. No, it's more like a screwdriver protector where I'm at. But no, I think it's important to remember the bracket really doesn't align how the games are actually played. It only matters the seedings in this round.
Right. Yep. The best remaining seed plays the worst remaining seed.
Yep.
All right. So I tell you what, I mean, we're already talking about the AFC. I think I told you before the show I wanted to jump over to the NFC. Let's just roll through the whole AFC since that way. I mean, it kind of helped show what you were just explaining with the seed. So, so in this scenario, I believe we both have the 1 seed and 5 seed against each other, and then the 2 and the 3 playing each other.
Yep.
Okay, so we both have the same seeds. I have Kansas City as the 1 seed handling Pittsburgh in that divisional round game, but I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people might think. And then I have Baltimore beating Tennessee, the number 2 seed over the 3 in the AFC. So I went kind of chalk there with the 1 and 2 seeds. Honestly, I went kind of chalk throughout most of my playoffs because I kind of like to play it safe.
Okay. I understand that. A lot of people do. It's more upsets are for more March Madness kind of stuff than they are for the NFL, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a pretty safe thing to say. However, I've got the Baltimore Ravens beating Pittsburgh. So I got them going to the AFC Championship, and then it breaks my heart, but I got the Chiefs once again beating Indianapolis in the divisional round to go to. So I've got the Ravens and Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
And we both do, and it's hard not to go that way. Both of those teams are just too good. I mean, they're amazing teams. So not really much to say about it. And then I have my number 2 seed, Baltimore, beating the number 1 seed, Kansas City, to make it into the Super Bowl because I need to have an upset somewhere.
I got you. And I've got my number 2 seed going to the Super Bowl. So I've got the Chiefs beating the Ravens.
Okay. So you have the Chiefs winning the rematch as well. Okay. All right.
It's a quarterback-driven league. They've got the better quarterback.
Okay. I can give you that. I do think that that Baltimore's defense overall is going to be much improved even from last year, and they had a better defense last year. So I think that's where the defense might fall. So, all right. So on to the NFC. I'll let you start us off.
All right, the NFC. I've got the Seahawks playing the Bucs, and this right here I think could be an incredible game. However, I think Mr. Brady's fairy tale season, or however you want to say it, is going to come to a screeching halt because it's hard to go to Seattle and win a playoff game.
It is.
I've got this is an upset alert here. I've got the Vikings going into Lambeau and taking care of Green Bay.
Okay.
And then I've got the Saints beating the Niners to go to the division.
Wait a minute. I thought you said you had the Vikings winning the division.
No, I do not. I've got the Packers winning that division.
Oh, you have the Packers. Oh, no. Okay, I have the Vikings winning the division. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. And then what was that third one?
I've got the Saints beating the Niners to go to the divisional round.
Saints beating the Niners. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, our seeds are way off. But so who are your 4 teams that are going to be in the divisional round then?
I've got the Seahawks, the Vikings, and the Saints. That's who I've got winning those games. So Cowboys, Seahawks, Vikings, Saints.
Okay. So we only have one team different in that Final Four. Okay, cool. So we're getting back on track a little bit, but I agree it's hard to win a playoff game in Seattle. I have Seattle playing on the road in the first round, though. So, but I do have Tampa Bay as the 7 seed, still traveling all the way across the country to play against San Francisco, which is also kind of tough. Not as tough of a place to play in, but still just traveling across the country like that. I mean, obviously Brady's a vet. You know, all these vets are going to be able to handle that for a playoff game, but still, it's still tough. And I think San Francisco is just too good, and their defense is amazing. So I have San Francisco, the 2 seed, winning that game. I have Dallas as the 4 seed facing the Packers as the 5 seed. And I think that will be an incredible game. And I only have the Cowboys as winning that game because of the home field advantage. So I think it'll be an incredible game. It'll be fun to watch. And then the 3 seed Vikings at home against the Seahawks. I have the Seahawks winning that game. So that's my big upset. The number 6 seed Seahawks beating the Vikings at Minnesota. So I still had my 4 teams are the Saints, the in this seed order. The 1 seed, the Saints, the 2 seed, the 49ers, the 4 seed Cowboys, and the 6 seed Seahawks.
Okay. All right, I got you. I got you there. So that means I've got the Vikings playing the Cowboys in the divisional round. And I got the Seahawks playing the Saints.
Hold on,
Hold
on. We both cut out there for a second.
Okay.
It cut off altogether. So go ahead and start that over, your NFC divisional round.
My NFC divisional round. Okay, I've got the Cowboys playing the Vikings. I think that'll be a good game. I'm going to give the nod to the Cowboys. Again, it's a quarterback-driven league, and I feel like overall they've got the better quarterback. So I think overall the Cowboys should win that game. The Seahawks playing the Saints. That right there, I think, will be a game to watch. Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. Drew Brees trying to win in his final season, which what I think is definitely going to be his final season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give the Saints a nod just because simply they will be playing that game at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. So even though the Vikings did go in there last year and beat them, however, I think the Saints will get it done against the Seahawks and go to the NFC divisional round or NFC championship.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I believe this is Drew Brees' swan song as well, and I hate to see it. I do like him as a quarterback. I mean, I know he's got those Purdue connections that we don't see eye to eye with, but still an Indiana boy. I've had fun rooting for him his whole career. So, let's see. So I've got them as the number 1 seed facing the Seahawks in that divisional round, and I think they'll handle them pretty easily. I'm not too concerned about that game. Like I said, it's a 1/6. So even though I had the Seahawks winning that big game in the first round against Minnesota. And a part of the reason I had that big upset there too is I'm always worried about Dalvin Cook making it the whole season. So if they have a great season to make the playoffs and he's still hurt, I don't know. I know it's not good to predict injuries. It's definitely not good to predict team wins based off of injuries, but we're starting to see a pattern, so that scares me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have the Saints over the Seahawks, and then I have San Francisco over Dallas. Again, I think that'll be another great game to watch, and I'm giving the home team the advantage there. I do think that Dallas is going to have a great season. I think they have a great schedule ahead of them. They have a really good offense and an improved defense. I just still think I believe in Jimmy G and that offense a lot more than most people, and everybody knows their defense is great. So I got to put my money where my mouth is and put them in the NFC title game.
Okay, so you do have the Cowboys then, or the Niners then.
Yep, the Niners and the Saints.
Okay, I've got the Cowboys and the Saints. We're different on that one.
Yep.
So Cowboys, Saints. Cowboys do have that soft schedule this year. I think when they go up against the Saints, it's going to be an animal that they're not ready for. So I think Drew Brees gets to the Super Bowl in his final season. And it will give us the Super Bowl that I was wanting last year, Saints versus Chiefs.
Okay. Yep. I don't know if you can see that. Where we at?
Saints versus Baltimore.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the Saints as well. I think, like I said, Drew Brees' swan song. As you can see when I threw it up there, though, I've got the Ravens winning the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be too much to handle. Now, don't take me wrong here. I still believe that Lamar Jackson is going to see a negative regression. He's not going to have as many passing yards. He's not going to have as many rushing yards. He's not going to see as many touchdowns. But overall, that team as a whole will still improve as a team. There's no way that he can continue to get that kind of stats. But that doesn't necessarily, in my mind, make me feel like the Ravens as a team are going to regress that much.
Okay. All right. So I, however, have Drew Brees gets it done in his final year. He gets that moment with his boys on the field.
Okay. All right.
So, and I think he. I just think it's his year. They got screwed 2 years ago against the Rams, and I think they would have beat New England in that Super Bowl.
Okay.
And then last year they just didn't show up for the playoff game.
All right. So I tell you what. So this is what we'll do. We have the records down for every single team. We'll give 1 point for every game that we're right. As far as like I have Indy at 10-6. So if they win 12 games, then I get I don't know. However we're gonna do it. I'll get the 10, but I lose 2 or whatever.
Yeah,
we'll figure something out. We'll figure out a point system, but then the playoffs will have to count for more. Each round counts for more and more. We'll work this out off screen so that the viewers don't have to deal with this. But I say we put like a Whopper combo meal on this or something. What do you say?
Hey, sounds good to me. We can do that.
All right. All right. So we got those projections out of the way, but you have New Orleans winning the Super Bowl. Okay, so we're going to parlay this right into our next segment where we're going to talk about individual awards given at the end of the season. The first award they give, well, I guess they don't always give it in this order, but the first award we're going to talk about is the Super Bowl MVP. With you having the Saints winning, who is your Super Bowl MVP? I mean, I could probably take a guess.
Who do you think it is?
You're all about your boy Breeze.
It's not Breeze.
No? Okay. Who is it?
Alvin Kamara. I think he's their big. Besides Michael Thomas, he's their biggest offensive threat. I think Baltimore will do a good job containing Michael Thomas for the most part in the Super Bowl. So Alvin Kamara, I think, will get the Super Bowl MVP.
Okay. All right. And I had Baltimore beating New Orleans. And I am going with the obvious option in Lamar Jackson because obviously they're not going to get it done if he doesn't have a great game. So
no, they will not.
He is pretty much that offense. So and I can admit that and still pick them to win. Which is also risking a lot on my end because, like, if he suffers any kind of a deep injury, then that screws my entire bracket. You're not necessarily going to have that issue with the Saints because, Taysom Hill can play and they have Jameis Winston there now. So I don't know who their backup will be and a great team around them too. So
absolutely. And it's less likely Breeze don't do as much as what Lamar Jackson does. So the likelihood of him going down is less than what it is with Lamar Jackson.
Right. All right, cool. So the next award we're going to talk about, let me pull this up here real quick. We already talked about Super Bowl MVPs. For what about league MVPs?
Okay, you want me to go first on this one?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. Just so everybody out there knows this, okay, I promise I'm not a big Cowboys fan, but with it being a contract year for Dak Prescott, I think, and he's got some weapons, some toys to play with now, he's going to open it up and they're going to throw. I'm going to say Dak Prescott is going to throw for about 35 touches and probably about 4,800 yards. Dak Prescott is going to be your league MVP this upcoming season.
I can see it. I can honestly see it with that schedule. And with that offense, and I think adding CeeDee Lamb only continues to open it up. And as much as I love Jason Witten, I think it's a good thing for them that they moved on from him because Blake Jarwin is the real deal, and he's just been waiting for an opportunity like this. So, and he's been playing really well playing second fiddle to Witten. So, so I could see that for sure. I wrote down 2 or 3 guys for every one of these. Probably let you go first in all of them because if you pick one that that's on my list, I can go another direction and talk about somebody else. So since you took, and I already have Lamar Jackson winning the Super Bowl MVP, it's kind of rare that the Super Bowl MVP was also the league MVP. I'm going to go with the next easy option. Like I said, Dak was one of my options, but I'm going to go with Mahomes. Had you said Mahomes, I probably would have talked about Dak, but But Mahomes is another super obvious answer. They don't have a real good secondary there in Kansas City, and I think that's going to continue to cause Mahomes to have to throw a lot more. They added Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the backfield, so they now have a better running back than Damian Williams, and Damian Williams didn't play bad in that offense. So, so I just think that they're going to be hard to stop, and so that's that answer. What about your comeback player of the year?
Comeback player of the year, it's a pretty obvious choice. Big Ben was hurt all year last year with injury. I still think the guy can play at a high level. I think if he goes out and he throws for 25 touches, even if he might even be higher than that, 25 touches and 4,000 yards, which I think is easily doable for him. I don't see any way he does not get comeback player of the year.
Okay, that is a good answer. And like I said during the playoff predictions, like I see Roethlisberger having another great season. So
yeah,
I could see that happening. But I also wrote down Matthew Stafford. He only played 8 games last season, and he was on pace for 38 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. So for him to only play 8 games and have half that, if he can come in, play all 16 games next year and have even close to that, say 33 touchdowns and 4,200 yards, then he's going to be right there in the running as well. So as long as his fractured back holds up. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What about your coach of the year?
Coach of the year, it's Mike McCarthy. It's got to be Mike McCarthy. 13-3. If they go 13-3, there's no way Mike McCarthy does not get it.
Okay. I wrote down 2 of them, and I was hoping you would take one, so I'd only have to talk about one. But I'm going to talk about 2 possibilities. Frank Reich, I think, has a real opportunity. The Colts were only 3 bad missed Vinatieri field goals away last season from starting off 7-0 with Jacoby Brissett. And then after Brissett got hurt and T.Y. got hurt and Matt got hurt, that whole offense was down and hurt. I think that really took away. So having his old quarterback there from the Chargers, Phillip Rivers, I know I'm down on Rivers. I still wish that they would have stuck with Jacoby, but at least he's got somebody in there that he trusts, that he knows can run the offense. And Rivers is going to give it that one last good year left because of the good team around him. As long as they can stay healthy, that Colts team is going to look really good. So, and I'm not just being a homer here as a Colts fan. You guys will all see it.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but you're also a Colts fan. I'm talking to the viewers.
I am.
And then the other guy I wanted to talk about was Kyle Shanahan. He's built an amazing team around a decent quarterback, but he also has an amazing defense, and he's still a pretty good coach. So it seems like an obvious answer going with the 49ers coach like that, but I mean, I think any one of those 3 could pull it off. So.
No, I agree.
All right, offensive player of the year.
I kind of went with an obvious choice here on this one. It's so hard to predict this award. I went with Christian McCaffrey. I think he's what the Panthers are about. The only thing that scares me with this prediction here is they're gonna work him to death. So I kind of fear injury. But if he stays upright, I think he wins Offensive Player of the Year, and I think he'll make a mad case to MVP.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's possible. I would love to see him win the MVP. A lot of times these awards are based off of what they did the previous year too. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, I know they're not supposed to be, but it sure seems like it, you know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
So I'm going to go offensive MVP here since I had Mahomes winning the actual MVP award. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. Pretty much all the same reasons that you talked about earlier. So I'm not going to delve into that too much. I think you're pretty dead on with your Cowboys analysis. So defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa.
Oh, So glad you didn't take my only guy I wrote down here. This is the only one I only
Yeah. Nick Bosa is he's San Francisco's best defensive lineman. No DeForest Buckner there this year. I mean, we both know where he went. So with no DeForest Buckner, I do think you'll see a lot of doubles. But Nick Bosa's just got mad skill, can ball out, and he's going to get his sacks.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
and I went with what I thought was the obvious answer. Aaron Darnold. He's won it 2 of the last 3 seasons, and if he wins it again, then he's going to be in a very elite group with J.J. Watt and
J.J. Watt.
Lawrence Taylor are the only 2 other players ever to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. So, and speaking of J.J. Watt, he could also potentially be a comeback Player of the Year contender.
He could be. He's due for a really good year, and I thought about him, but I don't know. I just think Donald's down for a down year, and Bosa. I mean, look what he did as a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right up there for it, close to being as a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's better than Joey. I mean, they're both damn good. But
yeah,
Nick
you can't deny him. I think the Bosas are going to dominate this league for quite some time, but I'm going to give it one more season to Aaron Darnold and see where we go from there.
Nope, I completely understand that.
All right, your offensive rookie of the year.
All right, this one was fun because I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor for the Colts, the running back. The rookie running back. I by far think it's going to be him. I think he's – you got fans there that you're doing the show live for?
Oh, wait, did I get something here?
No, I just see you sitting there waving and stuff. I said, you got fans over there that you're doing the show in front of live?
No, we got heavy traffic in Carthage since we hit record. I've seen 2 cars pass by, so it's rush hour in our sleepy little town.
Gotcha. But no, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be your offensive rookie of the year. Getting to run behind that offensive line that the Indianapolis Colts have built is basically a dream come true. I mean, I could probably at least rush for 50 yards occasionally in front of that offensive line. I'm slow at this point in my life now. But Jonathan Taylor, he's gonna do a lot of catching the ball out of the backfield. He's going to get his carries. I think he'll be the featured back in Indianapolis going into week 1, even ahead of Marlon Mack. So Jonathan Taylor will be my offensive rookie of the year.
I agree that Jonathan Taylor probably should be the number 1 running back over Marlon Mack. I just don't think they're going to do that. The Colts, they've built this pride on building from within and that sort of thing, which – I mean, that's why it surprised me that they brought in Phillip Rivers, but I don't know that they're going to do that to Marlon Mack. And I think this award, more than any of them, since they're rookies and they don't know a whole lot about them, I think it's more driven based on their stats alone. And I don't know that Jonathan Taylor is going to get that level of opportunity to be able to put up decent stats every single game. But rookie quarterbacks that start from week 1 typically do. Like Joe Burrow is going to get stats every single, whether they're good or bad, he's getting stats. So I think on a stats-driven award like Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to have to lean more towards Joe Burrow for that reason alone. But I'm also not sleeping on CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys' new wide receiver.
I guess
that offense, I'm actually kind of hoping, like, that's the guy that I'm rooting for to blow people out of the water out of that 3rd wide receiver spot, because that is pivotal. That's where it opens up the whole rest of that offense. That's where we're right about that. We're right about how good the Cowboys are going to be, and we're right for fantasy football and that sort of stuff. So,
I agree. I actually did have Joe Burrow wrote down as well. It's hard not to write down the number 1 overall pick as a quarterback to be rookie of the year.
Right.
He's going to get his opportunities in Cincinnati.
What about defensive rookie of the year?
Defensive rookie of the year, Patrick Queen from LSU.
You took mine.
What's that? Did I take yours?
Yeah.
Well, he was a 20th overall pick, and honestly, he was a top 10. He was a top 10 guy. I was shocked that he fell. In fact, I have a buddy in Ohio that that he hates the Ravens. He's a big Cincinnati fan.
Okay.
He kept saying all night, "I want the Bengals to get Patrick Queen. I want the Bengals to get Patrick Queen." And when the Ravens were picking at 28, he said something to me. He said, "Bengals might get Patrick Queen tomorrow night," thinking first pick of the second round. And I started laughing, and I said, "No, watch." I said, "Watch." I said, "The Ravens are going to take him right here. They're going to take him right here." And he texted me back and just said, "If they do, I quit the NFL." And then sure enough, a couple minutes later, it came across Patrick Queen. And, I couldn't believe he kept falling. He kept falling and falling and falling.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe you called that guy a friend and you pulled that voodoo on him, man. That's insane.
I did.
Oh, man.
Let's watch Patrick Queen right here.
Now Patrick Queen, though, I mean, he falls in behind an amazing defensive line as well. And that awesome defensive line is going to fill those holes and give him plenty of room to work. And he's going to be a starter right out the gate. He will be a starting linebacker in the NFL right out the gate.
He absolutely will be. And I think he could possibly be there for a long time, and he could be another Ray Lewis for that defense for years to come.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw what Darius Leonard did out of a small college. Mm-hmm. I mean, Queen has a much better profile coming out of LSU.
Absolutely does.
I'm not saying he's going to put up Darius Leonard type numbers because Leonard is just a freak, but I mean, it's possible. And that defense is possible.
Oh yeah, it's definitely possible. He's just got that nasty attitude of "I'm coming to get you."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I really like Patrick Queen.
Yep. So when you grow up with the last name of Queen, you probably have to overcompensate. Maybe that's where that anger.
I don't know. He's a big boy. I don't know if I would have said much about his last name or not.
So I guess since you're taking Patrick Queen, you took my boy. I'm going to go with Chase Young, the obvious answer that I thought you might take. Out of Ohio State, he had 27 sacks over his last 2 collegiate years. 35 and a half tackles for loss. He is an animal. He will get behind the line of scrimmage and cause a lot of damage. The only reason I'm leaning more towards Patrick Queen is because of his landing spot. You can't really expect anybody that plays for the Redskins to ever actually do well. So it's kind of hard. Yeah.
That's true.
All right. So your rookie of the year. Who's going to be your rookie of the year?
Man, this one was hard.
We give it to the defensive player or offensive player rookie of the year because it's they don't normally give it to the offensive rookie of the year or the defensive rookie of the year. This is like,
and that's where I actually put Joe Burrow was the overall rookie of the year was Joe Burrow. I just think with Burrow, he's gonna air it out. They're gonna let him air it out. I think you got Mixon and he's gonna air it out. You say that you told me that you thought Tua was most ready NFL quarterback, but I think it's Burrow. I think the guy, he plays in the SEC where he's got nothing but NFL talent. I mean, he just tore it up at LSU. I just think he gets it. He's going to throw it. He's got a strong arm.
Okay.
So,
well, then since you stole Patrick Queen from me for the defensive rookie of the year, I'm going to take him as my overall rookie of the year. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
I say they give it to a defensive player.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Man, it's possible. It hadn't happened in a long time, I don't believe.
Let's see.
Definitely possible.
Bold predictions.
Yes.
Is there anything in particular that really stands out to you that you want to talk about? Because we're at about 39 minutes now. I don't want to go too far into bold predictions. We might skim through them real quick, mostly because I'm usually wrong and I don't want to have to revisit it later.
Well, I do. My bold prediction is Joe Burrow will break Andrew Luck's passing record of 4,375
yards. I had an ATV, a four-wheeler go by. I didn't hear any of that. Sorry.
Okay, I just said Joe Burrow will break Luck's passing record of 4,374 yards.
Wow. Okay, so you do think that AJ Green's going to be healthy then?
I do, absolutely.
He's going to play 16 games, and he's going to be a fantasy stud, evidently.
Yep. Like I said, this is bold prediction, so if I'm wrong here, don't criticize me.
No, not at all.
I'm
kind of big on AJ Green as a sleeper in redraft league this year. So yeah, definitely cool. I like that.
So,
I like it.
My next one is again, this is a bold prediction. You might disagree. It goes back with my follow up on I think Jonathan Taylor ended up being the premier back. Marlon Mack will not rush for over 500 yards and will only have 2 TDs this year.
Oh. You're right. I don't agree.
They got Jonathan Taylor. He's going to be the premier back because they don't want to pay Marlon Mack if they're going to have Jonathan Taylor there.
Okay, which is all the more reason to run the wheels off of the vet as long as he can still play and save that rookie and let him learn and still fit him in when you can. But
I don't disagree, but I just think Jonathan Taylor's a better. I just think he's going to be a better running back.
He is. But also, if you're going to have a great offense, you need 2 running backs. So you're going to need to incorporate them a little bit more than 500 yards worth. Like even though I still think that Mack is going to be the guy, at least for the start of the season and the first half of the season, I still see JT getting more than 500 yards just because it'll be more of an even split. I'd like to see the Colts rush for 2,000 yards as a team.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I would love
They've got the D-line or the O-line to do it.
And that's including the negative 200 we're going to get from Phillip Rivers.
I still think Rivers is going to be a good pickup.
Okay.
And my next one is Gronk will not be in the top 10 for tight ends in fantasy football.
Okay. I can get with that one. But
I think that's a dream. That's a dream team, I guess, to say in Tampa. But Gronk's been out of football for 2 years. And, whether people want to admit it or not, you see a decline in Brady's game. You really do. I think they're going to do more dump off Devon and stuff like that. I don't think people are thinking – I think they're starting to think Brady of 07 when he was airing it out to Moss like crazy and had Stallworth on the other side. You're not going to get that. You're going to get to a lot of checking into runs, little check down passes, and occasionally you might get one over the top, but you're not getting many of those.
And they haven't gotten rid of O.J. Howard. They haven't gotten rid of Cameron Brate. Like, those guys didn't die, and they're not bad. Like, they had a bad season. They had a bad season because they had Jameis Winston that was throwing it 60 yards down the field to whichever team would catch it. So, like, Brady's not that kind of player. He's going to be that dump-off guy. Yep. So Gronk could have potentially a decent year, but I could definitely see him staying outside of the top 10 for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So, and then my last bold prediction, and I think it's possible, Brissett going back to New England.
Oh, that would kill me.
Before the start of the season.
That would kill me. If they did it right before the start of the season, I'm going to want to redo some of my projections here. Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel. I think that Brissett at this point in his career is better than Phillip Rivers at this point of his career, and I don't know. I do think that the Patriots are comfortable with Stidham, but they're not comfortable enough to just be 100% sold on him. Like if something better did. So I mean, it's definitely possible. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
What do you got?
Well, the first one I have, the big one I want to talk about is that COVID-19 and how it's going to affect the NFL season. I believe that there will be a full season, but I also believe that they're only going to start, or they're only going to have the season on one of two conditions. One, they wait until the vaccine is completely ready to go. And if they do that, we're looking at November, December at the earliest before they even start. And if they do that, I wrote down some dates here. They do that, then actually I didn't write down some dates. I must have put that in a tweet, so now I don't have it. But let's say they do that, and it's like June for a Super Bowl, like early June for a Super Bowl late June for a combine, early July for a quick draft, or maybe late July for a draft. And then we're right back on schedule again for the 2021 season. It'd just be a really short off season. The other thing,
I don't think you can do that though, because that's going to put some of these guys. Because some of these guys, when they come off of the regular season, they're gonna every year. Some guys have to have surgery, get some things fixed and stuff like that. That doesn't leave much time for rehab at all. I don't. I just don't know if that's doable or not to have one that late.
Yeah, but what's more doable? Having guys that have to try to push surgeries and miss the first couple weeks or few weeks of the next season, or having your starting quarterback go down with a COVID virus at week 8 when you're in the middle of a playoff push. And
I mean, I get it. I don't know. I mean, you have probably a little bit of a different opinion on the COVID thing.
Yeah, but I mean, but
I don't know.
For instance, Orlando, the Orlando professional soccer team, all went out to a bar here recently. There in Orlando after they opened them all back up, and their entire soccer team has been hit with it, and now their families are getting hit with it. And so they've canceled their entire season. They pulled out of the Major League Soccer schedule altogether for the whole rest of their season because they want their players to stay home. I think you get one team that gets hit bad with it like that in the NFL. They don't want that kind of negative. And let's say it is a political thing. That's fine too. Let's talk politics then. Let's talk about the NFL, who has been all about leaning towards the liberal viewpoint, more left viewpoints on everything. Of course, they're going to play it cautious, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing I think that could happen would be if they do start the season off and they do start to see after week 3, 4, 5, whatever, they're starting to get more and more cases, or maybe there's a second wave because almost every pandemic in history has had a second wave that's larger than let's say we have another second wave. And so then they postpone the rest of the season. They hold it off until they get that virus. So maybe we get a month's worth of football in and then have to wait until December when they get the vaccine to finish up the season maybe. That's the other thing I could see. But I don't see them getting in a full season without the vaccine. But I do love the fact that Goodell came right out and said that we will get a full season in no matter what, even if we got to push off next season. So
I do think, however – it's a high probability or a high possibility, maybe even a probability, that we go with and like I said, these predictions are hard. We've talked a lot about home field advantages and stuff like that. It's very likely that at least through the first half of the season, there's not a single fan in any of the stands in any of these games. So at that point, it's almost like going to every place is almost like a neutral field.
Yeah,
it'll be weird watching football like that, but I think it's highly likely that that's how it'll go for a while.
Have you seen the possible helmets that they're talking about using?
No,
you haven't. All right. So my next bold prediction is about Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So I'm going to try to Google this and look it up real quick while you talk about Chris Godwin and Mike Evans real quick. Fill in some time.
What about Chris Godwin, Mike Evans? Just
fill in some time. I'm going to try to Google this.
Okay. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, they're on the Bucks. They get Brady as their quarterback. I think they'll be with I think Godwin will be in top 10 fantasy receivers. I don't think Evans will be. I don't think Evans will be in the top. I think he'll be in about.
Okay, never mind. Hey, hold on. You're stealing my entire lines here, so shut up. No, hey, look at this. I want to show you something.
What am I looking at here?
Hold on. I'm not good with technology. Look at that. Okay. That looks badass. Like, could you picture a white helmet like that, like the Colts away helmets?
stupidest thing I ever seen in my life.
Oh, whatever. That looks amazing. They look like storms out there, man.
It looks neat, but it's stupid.
No. They would take
football's a contact sport. You know who they should have made wear that? Bill Romanowski. That's who they should have made wear that.
He's already a robot. But they say, though, because of the way that it wears, you can't. It doesn't affect the breathing at all or anything like that. It doesn't make the mask very much hotter, except that you don't get the wind that blows in from the face mask.
Yeah.
So they say it's just as cool as any other helmet. So
why don't they use that thing in cold weather? That's what I'd want it for.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, I thought that was really awesome when I saw it. I'd like to find a white one of it, but we're already using it.
If it gets us a full season of football, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Who cares what it looks like? So you kind of stole a little bit of what I was going to say, but I'm actually going to say that Chris Godwin finishes in the top 5 in fantasy wide receiver production in PPR. That's important to say because I think he's going to be that Edelman slot guy. Only this is an Edelman that has a lot more talent even than Edelman, and Edelman was a talented receiver. I think he has the potential because he also still has the deep threat as well, and he has the breakaway speed. So he's that slot receiver that Brady has always dreamt about. So. And then Mike Evans, in my opinion, will finish outside the top 20 in fantasy wide receivers in PPR.
I was stealing your lines.
What's that?
I was stealing your lines, wasn't I?
Yeah. Well, you said inside the top 10. I'm for Godwin. I'm going to say even higher than that. He'll be top 5. Yeah. But yeah. So there's my reasoning on that. I also have down that the Lions will finish second to last overall on the season, but then they'll trade up to get the number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence after at the next draft, and they'll sit him for 1 season while they try to figure out what they're going to do with Matthew Stafford, whether they shop him around or what. But I think they're going to start to try to lean towards that Trevor Lawrence future. So, and then Blake Jarwin. His ADP right now, average draft position, is 19th overall for tight ends, and Jace Sternberger of the Packers is at tight end 25 right now. I believe that both of them will finish in the top 10 for fantasy purposes for fantasy tight ends. I think they're both going to have an incredible season. So those are both guys that you can draft late in your drafts. And then my last one is Terry McLaurin. I think that Terry McLaurin finishes as a wide receiver 1 in PPR fantasy, and he will have over 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. I'm big on Terry McLaurin this year. I know that our last few episodes have been primarily about actual NFL stuff, but this is still a fantasy football show, so I want to make sure I got a little bit in there, and it kind of tickles my fancy a little bit to talk fantasy. So
that's why I threw in some fantasy bold predictions for you.
Right on. I appreciate that. All right. Anything else you want to get off your chest or need to talk about?
No, not really. Getting married in 60 days. Looking forward to it. I asked her if she would come on tonight to introduce herself, but she said no. Her exact words were no. I look like a hot ass homeless mess today. She still looks beautiful.
All right. Yep. All right. Right on.
60 days.
Yeah, I think you know how I feel about that. Congratulations. I think you're both extremely lucky to have gotten each other because I know you personally, but starting to get to know her a little bit better, and I think you both lucked out. So
she's been with me through a lot. So I mean the cancer thing and everything. It was great to have her.
Yep. My viewers don't like to see this personal shit though, so we'll we'll cry on each other's shoulders later. But don't forget, you guys can hit us up at Engage8Fantasy. Our email, engage8fantasy@gmail.com. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe buttons down there at the bottom. Give us a comment if you have any questions, comments. we do respond back to those as well. Kenny, thank you again for coming on, and appreciate
No problem. Thank you. Sounds good.